We are less than a month away from the May primary election. Tuesday, May 21st is Election Day. Deadline to register online, April 26th, tomorrow. Deadline to request an absentee ballot is May 10th. But don't wait, do it sooner. Very famously, the Idaho legislature is done for the year for now, off to campaign for said primary. Before they went home, though, Idaho lawmakers had a lot of ideas on election laws, changing laws, creating new ones, but the dust settled with a lot to track. And ahead of Election Day next month, we sat down with Idaho Secretary of State Phil McGrane today at Jump, Jack's urban meeting place in downtown Boise. Beautiful community spot if you haven't checked it out. And while we were there, Secretary McGrane and I worked to track what became law, what failed, and what you, the people of Idaho, need to know. If you search through all the pitches made during the 2024 legislative session, a simple search for election, voter, or ballot topics show more than 20 ideas. Everything from a voter guide to election signs to even creating a new government office to investigate election crimes. Surviving the State House can be a tough task for proposed legislation. So where did the dust settle?
We do get a lot of questions about different things, largely because viewers have seen coverage throughout the legislative session about ideas that came up, and not all those ideas have come to fruition. So it's good just to get out, what's actually happening, how have our elections changed or not changed, just whatever the case may be.
Secretary of State Phil McGrane and his elections team are getting ready for the May primary around the state. Something to take note of. What are election days in Idaho?
Probably one of the biggest changes is just when we hold elections. So there was a bill, it was a property tax bill that removed the August election date. So moving forward, it will only be May and November in which we will vote in the state of Idaho. And so that's actually a pretty significant change, especially to school districts and other entities who've relied on those smaller August elections.
Preparing for the election as a voter can be time-consuming. So did the pitch for a state-issued voter guide hit the mark?
One of the personal things for me that was a big one that got a lot of attention was the voter guide. We really wanted to get more information out to voters. You've seen the Vote Idaho website upgrades and everything there. Unfortunately, the voter guide itself with candidate information did not get all the way through the legislative process. I've had lots of voters asking, when am I going to get it in the mail? And unfortunately, that's not going to happen. There will be the voter pamphlet for the constitutional amendment in November, but that's it. There will not be any additional candidate information at that time.
You may have heard conversations or concerns at the State House about absentee ballots. Many ideas were floated on how to drastically change the process. So, what do we need to know?
Realistically, nothing changed. People are requesting absentee ballots. We already have tens of thousands of absentee ballots out in the mail for the May primary election. Voters can request them. Also, many voters have already seen those request forms coming to them from candidates or political parties or others. All that process stayed the same.
The term ballot harvesting was focused on by lawmakers, touching on the concept of a person or group taking a whole collection of absentee ballots to manipulate the process. A few versions of the idea were pitched, including one that would have really limited who can touch a ballot. Secretary McGrane has this takeaway on the final law.
One of the bills that did change was regarding ballot harvesting. I know there's talk about that. That's really targeted towards candidates and campaigns and saying that they shouldn't be handling people's voted ballots. It has really no change for the voters. So if you need to take your roommate's ballot or a family member's ballot and drop it off, all those things are still acceptable and fine. It was really just saying candidates, campaigns don't handle ballots.
If you need to register to vote, get it done soon. And if you're having an Idaho ID problem, and maybe you just moved here, maybe you don't have one, Secretary McGrane wants to remind you, Idahoans, there is a free program to get a state-issued ID. And Friday, tomorrow, is the deadline to register in advance of the election. But if for some reason a voter doesn't get it online or get it done today or tomorrow, you can still register at the polls on Election Day. Just make sure to bring your photo ID and proof of residence, and you can register when you vote at your local polling location.